everybody? Welcome to Zone Defense. We talk all things NBA and NFL. Be sure to follow us on Spotify at Zone Defense Podcast, on Twitter at Zone Defense Pod, and hit that subscribe button down below because it really helps out our channel a lot. Also, let us know what you are most excited for this 2021 NFL season. Today we'll be doing our Week 1 Pick'em. How's it going, guys?
I'm good, Drew. I'm really excited to get into another Pick'em series with you guys. Last year it was really fun. Came down to the wire, but you overtook to win over Chris, which is pretty cool. But this year, the slates are blank, and I'm ready to take home another win this year.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about last year's result because I felt like I dominated the pick'em last year. But we're on a new year, new me, and I am so excited for this NFL season to start, fellas. I think it's going to be a great year.
Yeah, let's go. Let's just get right into it then. So, the Ravens running back carousel. We're going to jump into the news and notes here. So, we got the Gus Edwards, who he's just a clown in my opinion. I'm just kidding. All thoughts and prayers to him. He fortunately finally got the opportunity he deserved after J.K. Dobbins went down with an injury a few weeks ago. He was no RB1. Everybody was super excited about it. And then unfortunately, Gus Bus went down with a torn ACL just a few hours before we recorded this episode. It personally really sucks for me because I literally just traded with Chris for him last night to get the Gus Bus on my team. Was finally content with the way my team was looking this year, and now he's gone for injury. But of course, my fantasy team really means nothing. It really sucks for Gus Edwards, considering that this was finally the opportunity he deserved. I think he was going to be really, really good this year, and now it's just wasted for probably the entire season. So that really sucks. But now the question turns to who is going to be their starter. We have Lev Bell, Devontae Freeman, both on the board there. They're currently on the practice squad, I think, so who knows if they're actually going to play or not. But I'm interested to hear for you guys first if you want to touch on the Gus Bus and Dobbins going down with injury, but more so like predominantly on what's going to happen for them going forward. Who's going to be their starting running back?
Yeah, I'll start this one. With the Ravens, I really think they're going to go with that the RB by committee now. I mean, they've got Devontae Freeman, they've got Lev Bell, and it really is just gonna. Oh man, this sucks because Gus Bus and J.K. Dobbins were both very promising, a great duo. They were going to be at the start of the year. Then J.K. Dobbins goes down. You're like, all right, we got Gus Edwards, we're good. We'll sign Lev Bell, we'll be all right. We got undrafted free agent as well that we like. And now Gus Bus goes down, and there really isn't a lot of options. I am stunned that they didn't sign Latavius Murray. I think he would have fit the bill perfectly, but it looks like Freeman's going to be the guy that they signed. And I actually think he's a little more interesting than Bell because, Bell has been kind of just hanging out, chilling at home on his couch, whereas Freeman just was cut recently. So he's been through training camp and everything. So I think he's more the guy that I'm a little bit more interested in. I think he could have a bigger role, especially early in the season, but maybe Bell works his way in later in the year. But Tyson Williams, the undrafted free agent, is going to be, in my opinion, the starting option. And I know we're not getting into the fantasy pick yet, but that's a guy I'm definitely picking up on my waiver wire. So I'm not that interested in Bell or Freeman yet personally, but, they may have a role, but I would definitely go get Williams right now.
Yeah, I agree. Williams is definitely the guy, I guess you could say, in Baltimore. But also, ultimately, you have to remember that whoever the starter is on that team is technically RB2 behind Lamar Jackson. We said it with Gus Edwards when he emerged into the running back one role. But I do think, there will be a lot of work to be had there between Williams, Bell, and Freeman. And Drew, to, I guess, Bill, on your point, Bell and Freeman are both going to be on the active roster, at least to my knowledge. So Bell will at least play week 1, I believe, have some sort of a role. Freeman, we'll see about him, but I think between the three of them, it should be interesting. It's going to be a predominantly rushing attack, as it always will be, between Lamar Jackson and the running backs. So there's a lot to live up to in that position, but I think, something's in the water in Baltimore because all their players are going down, whether it's Dobbins, Edwards, Marcus Peters as well. With a knee injury. So they need to get that under control because if they lose another running back or even another player, they might be in some trouble here.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what's going on there in Baltimore. I mean, I don't know if there's anything they can do either to kind of prevent it, maybe improve their training staff or what. I don't know because it's just weird
Don't
that
play Dobbins in the preseason. That's an
Yeah,
option.
yeah, that too. That too. That's an option for sure. But it's just very rarely do you see a team lose their top three running backs on by September 9th before the season even started. It's really insane to think about. I don't really have anything too much to add. I think they're going to sign Todd Gurley though. I think Todd Gurley's going to Baltimore. You heard it here first. My sources are telling me that Gurley's going to Baltimore and he's going to win the MVP finally. Who knows? Anyway, the T.J. Watt, Devontae Adams contract news. How about Roman? You can start us off with this one.
Yeah, for sure. TJ Watt just got an extension today as we're recording to be the highest paid edge slash line outside linebacker in the league. So that's good for him. Apparently, he took a little bit less money, but he just wanted to get the deal done. He was preparing to hold out, but glad that he got that contract signed. Apparently, Big Ben was also taking less money, so Watt can get the extension. So good for him. And then Devontae Adams recently came out and said that an extension won't be done before week 1. So his contract situation is a little bit more lingering. Probably going to go into the offseason. We'll see. This could be the last dance, as many have been referring it to as, between Adams and Rodgers. So Adams, we'll see if he gets that extension, but it doesn't look likely at this point.
Yeah, I mean, with Adams and Rodgers, I think both are going to be gone at the end of the season. We'll have to see if they can get it done in the Super Bowl this year. You know, like Roman said, this is probably going to be the last year, and then they're going to go into a rebuild, which as a closet Lions fan at this point in my life, or a fair weather Lion fan, as Roman would probably call me, I do like that though. I'm ready for the Packers to suck again, and maybe Rodgers and Adams will end up going to the same team potentially. Maybe the Raiders next year. That would be really interesting. But then again, they do already have Brian Edwards, who sounds like Terrell Owens 2.0. So they might not even need Adams, to be honest. But in all seriousness, I expected Adams to not get into a long-term deal with the Packers, and I think he'll be out the door in the offseason.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up the Raiders there because I also think that's a possible landing spot for Devontae Adams. But also, I think maybe if he goes there, maybe Aaron Rodgers isn't going to go there because Adams and Derek Carr are like really like best friends. They're really, really good friends, which to me is just a weird friendship dynamic. I don't know either personally, but that's just, to me, it's just weird. Devontae Adams and Derek Carr don't seem like they would get along very well, but I guess they're like really close friends. They went to the same college. So maybe if Devontae goes to Vegas, pairs up with Carr, or if maybe they're ready to move on from Carr, maybe the A-Rod goes there as well. I still think Rodgers is destined to go to Denver. I guess we'll kind of wait and see what happens with Teddy Bridgewater this year, but he is the bridge quarterback. It's in his name, so I think A-Rod's most likely going to end up there if I had to guess. But I'm right there with you guys. I think this is the last dance. Hopefully Aaron Rodgers brings a film crew around with him like Michael Jordan did 20 years ago, because I would like to see a last dance Packers edition in a couple of years with this season, because I do think the Packers are going to be a really, really good team overall. And then TJ Watt, it's just, awesome for him to get paid. He's a really good player, and Pittsburgh's defense is going to remain really, really good for years to come. Okay, next thing, Eckler and Saquon injury concerns. Honestly, for me, I mean, I feel like you could say that about really any running back or every. I mean, as we've seen with the Ravens, Gus Bus, everyone's already hurt. Every running back you can probably say that has injury concerns. I feel like every running back in the league, whether you're Zeke or Kamara or Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry, I guess doesn't really have too many injury concerns as of yet. Who knows? But for most running backs, I think you can concern about the injuries, but especially I think Saquon and Eckler. It feels like for Austin Eckler, it seems like every year we're like, oh, this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year that he really pops off. And then he gets hurt and he's injured and everything. And Saquon, I mean, it's been some concern there with the preseason. Hasn't gotten as many reps as I know. As a former fantasy owner of him, I would have liked to see. It is definitely concerning. So I'm concerned about every running back getting hurt. But I guess, yes, especially both of these guys. Is there anything you guys wanted to add on this topic?
Yeah. Saquon, he's coming off the major torn ACL injury, and it sounds like it's been a lot of good news this week. He's Jason Garrett, which I mean, honestly, take what he says, for about 2 cents, because he's kind of an idiot. But I do like to hear that Saquon is nearing 100% now, and I think that's really good. And then Eckler has this injury that popped up, I mean, this week with the hamstring, and I was lucky to pick up Justin Jackson in a fantasy league, so we'll have to see what ends up happening. I'm a huge Eckler guy, so I hope it's nothing serious, and I don't think it is, but he has missed practice for 2 straight days now, and he has not done really anything at practice either day. So definitely some concerns here. And then, just I would be monitoring that situation this week. I mean, if he does miss this game, I don't expect it to be a really long-term injury, but you do have to factor in that he had the hamstring problem last season that cost him a lot of time. And this could be maybe a slight tweak of the same hamstring. And it really sucks. I wish this was like earlier in training camp or something. And, it could have been dealt with already. But now that we're a couple of days from their first game starting, it's not great news, but hopefully he plays. And if he's out there, he's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I know, Chris, you're a huge Eckler guy, so I know that you had a lot to talk about him. But yeah, he's just the hamstring issue. He's been working to the side, or just missing practice completely. So if he's out, then you got to look at Justin Jackson, or a combination of him, Kelly, and Larry Roundtree, the rookie out of their team. But yeah, it's definitely something to monitor, and we'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah, absolutely. And now moving into our final point here of the news and notes section, before we do our Super Bowl predictions, and then we'll jump into our Week 1 pick'em. Dak, DeAndre Swift, maybe, and AJ Brown, all good to go for Sunday. Dak's playing tonight, playing Thursday night right before we're recording this. But it's good to hear he's ready to go. When he's healthy, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think he was in MVP contention. I think early on last season, he was playing really well, and of course went down with that gruesome ankle injury. And it's nice to see that he's back, he's healthy, ready to go. I think if he's healthy, the Cowboys got a really good team. DeAndre Swift, so he is healthy. He's going to be playing most likely. I did. Kind of joke a little bit that maybe he won't be ready to go because there is a rumor going around that he is currently involved in some sort of murder investigation. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. If he doesn't play, though, look out for Jamal Williams to have a big season. I think Jamal Williams might have a big season regardless. I am a little biased, though. And A.J. Brown, of course, he was playing through an injury last year all season. So it's nice to see that he's going to be ready to go for Sunday. He's also been battling some stuff in the preseason. I know I don't remember if he was one of the ones that got COVID as well, but I know he's been battling through. That whole team has been battling through a lot this preseason. So it's good to see he's ready to go. All three of those guys are really important pieces for their team. Of course, the Lions and Swift doesn't really mean too much if you're not a Lions fan, in my opinion, because the Lions bar is very, very low this year. But for Dak and AJ, those two teams both those teams have high aspirations, and they're going to need them to be healthy for as much as possible if they're going to be able to accomplish what they want to accomplish. But did you guys have anything you wanted to add here for any three of these guys as they're ready to go for Sunday?
No, not really. I mean, all three of these guys are going to play in Week 1. The Swift news is concerning for Lions fans, and then fantasy managers as well, that are invested in him. But other than that, as of right now, it's just a rumor. He's not technically being investigated right now, so not really anything to worry about yet. But I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, let's jump into our Super Bowl picks, fellas.
Yeah. So how about Roman? You can start us off here with your Super Bowl pick, and actually say your AFC winner, your NFC winner, and then say your Super Bowl champ if you have that prepared.
Yeah, well, going into this season, or I would definitely assume that Kansas City and Tampa would definitely be the favorites in their respective conferences.
Yeah, I would agree.
However, my Super Bowl pick will be the Los Angeles Rams over the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I like the pick. Quickly, I'll go over mine next. Very, very boring. Chiefs Bucks. Chiefs win it all. Rematch of last year, but the Chiefs get it done with their improved offensive line. I mean, to me, it's the two best teams in the league, and I'm going to go chalk here. It's very boring, but that's how I see it.
I'll be honest with you guys. I was going to pick the Ravens to win the Super Bowl before the Gus Bus news, so I have to kind of tilt here a little bit and change my pick. I think Baltimore. It seemed like it was lining up for Baltimore's year, unfortunately, and I don't see it happening now unless they're able to sign or trade for a big name running back. But so I instead have the same winner as Chris. So I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think this is the Patty Mahomes revenge narrative. They're upset because they lost Super Bowl last year, and somehow they were able to get better. I mean, their offensive line is awesome now. I mean, they're a really good team. But instead of them beating Tampa Bay, I have them beating the San Francisco 49ers. I think it's going to be the current version of Patrick Mahomes, who's still pretty young. And then the second coming of Patrick Mahomes, if you will, in Mr. Trey Lance, battling it out for the Super Bowl. What is this? Super Bowl 56? 57?
Yeah,
somewhere
56.
around there. 56? Super Bowl 56. So I am biased. I do like the Niners. George Kittle's my boy. But I do think they're going to be really good. I also like the Rams pick though too, Roman. I know that might be a little biased because I know you like
a
Stafford.
little bit, yeah.
But I do like that pick a lot. I think the Rams are going to be really good.
Yeah.
All right, now we can jump into what you've all been waiting for, the Week 1 pick'em. This is something that we did last year for fans of the show. It's something that we do every week. We really love doing it. And then as Roman said at the top of the show, we keep track of it every year. I was the champ last year. That's why my name is in gold. Chris was second. That's why his name is in silver. And then Roman was the bronze. So he still medaled. So that's good for Roman. All right, so I'll jump into the first matchup here, though. It's Cowboys Buccaneers. So by the time you're watching this game's already happened. So we're going to look like idiots, most likely. Throwback to last year when we all infamously picked the Jags to beat the Dolphins in Thursday Night Football, and the Dolphins absolutely clowned the Jags, and we all looked like idiots. But anyway, so we got Cowboys Bucks. This is a game that a lot of people are going to be tuning into. Two really big name teams, of course, the Bucks defending Super Bowl champs, the Cowboys still probably the most popular team in the NFL, and they're also very talented. A lot of fantasy implications in this game as well. It's a really, really fun first matchup. I guess since I won, I'll go first. And I mean, come on, it's Tom Brady. It's prime time. I mean, give me a break. He's got a full training camp this year. I mean, I think the Bucks could go undefeated. I know I just picked them to not make the Super Bowl, but like, come on, it's the Bucks. It's Brady. It's prime time. Like I just said, their defense is awesome. I think the Cowboys, I think they're going to be a good team. I think they have a chance to, I think they're probably going to make the playoffs and win that division. But I think that with Dak, the injury, they're going to take a little more time to kind of get going. I think Tampa's going to carry the momentum they had from the Super Bowl into this home opener, and I think, I think Brady and the Bucks are going to get it done here.
Yeah, I'll go next because I came in second, choked away a lead. One of the picks that probably hurt me a lot was picking the Denver Broncos over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year, which was probably my worst pick ever in anything. But I will not be making that mistake here in Week 1. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win. I think it's going to be a good game, but at the end, I think it's going to be the Bucks.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I mean, they're bringing back all their starters, so we'll see all of them play tonight. And you add a guy like Joe Tryon, the rookie in the first round. I think, their defense is going to cause some havoc. And we'll see if, Dallas has, bolstered their defensive line, gotten those injured players back, and we'll see if they look like just how they did before the pre-Dak injury.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Joe Tryon too, because I think we didn't really clown that pick, but we were kind of just like, yeah, whatever. It was just a pick, but he apparently, by all accounts, has been really good in training camp, so that's good. Good to hear from him. Okay, so now we got probably the biggest matchup of the weekend. I know about you guys.
Oh my God!
I think this could be a potential NFC Championship preview here. I don't know what you guys
for
think,
one of those teams, possibly.
It's the Niners. It's the Lions. Not much time going to be spent here. I'm going Niners. I think this could be really bad for the Lions. They got a really tough schedule. I don't know how they got such a tough schedule, but it starts here. The Niners got their guys back. I think they're going to plow. I know last year, I know Roman and I both picked the Lions to win Week 1. Chris clowned us because the Bears beat them, but the Niners, you guys already put them in there. You can see in fantasy picks later on as well that I really like this matchup for a bunch of reasons. But is there anything you guys want to add here, or can we just move on?
Niners good, Lions suck. Move on.
Well said. Roman, do you have any defense for the Lions here? Or are you just like, yeah, we're going to lose?
Well, as the resident Lions homer among the three
Big
of us,
time.
it's not going to be very good. But hopefully we just don't lose by 30 plus.
Maybe they'll shock the world. Who knows? If maybe Jared Goff will just be like, hey, I'm Jared Goff. Here we go.
He knows the Niners very well, so
that's true. And the Niners know him very well too, which is not going to be good. Anyway, all right, we got Eagles, Falcons. These are two kind of frisky teams. I don't think anyone's going to have them making the playoffs, but I think there's a lot of interesting storylines. Got interesting players. This will be Kyle Pitts' debut for the Falcons. They were like one of those teams that only won like 4 or 5 games last year. But they were like in every game. They very easily, if few breaks go their way, they probably could have been a playoff team. They of course lost Julio. Their defense still isn't great, but they are very entertaining to watch, and I think they're gonna be even more entertaining to watch with the dynamic duo of Pitts and Calvin Ridley as well as Matt Ryan. And then the Eagles, Devontae Smith's debut, so some really interesting rookies here in this Week 1 matchup, along with Jalen Hurts, his first Week 1 start. I know Chris really likes him. I also kind of like him. I think he's going to be a good player. So I think this is going to be a really, really fun game, even if both these teams maybe aren't going to be great at the end of the season. So ultimately for me, though, I think the Falcons with Arthur Smith as their new head coach is going to get it done. I think it's going to be a close game. Like I said, I think this is going to be one of those games that you might not tune into at the beginning, but I think it's going to be pretty close. I think it's kind of a toss-up, but I'm ultimately going to go with the Falcons, but I very easily could see the Eagles winning this game as well. I just think maybe there's a lot of new pieces on that offense in Philadelphia, and I think maybe it takes some time for them to get used to it. And I think Kyle Pitts has a big game week 1 as well. But Chris, who do you have?
Yeah, I really like Jalen Hurts, as you guys know. He's one of my honestly. I'm a big fan of him. I think he's going to be good. I'm gonna take Philly in this one. I'm gonna mix it up a little bit. I think Atlanta is gonna be really bad this year, and I think Philly maybe is being slept on a little bit too much. And I think he's the kind of quarterback that can get a team to outperform what they're projected to win and stuff. And I think week 1, against Atlanta, a bad defense, both honestly teams have bad defenses. I think Philly can win this one.
Yeah, for me, this is a game I was actually tilting on several times. I think this is going to be a sneaky good game, as you mentioned, Drew. However, I think Atlanta, like their offense, is just the most dominant unit that will be on the field that day. So I'm gonna go with the Falcons. However, we've seen what the Falcons did last year. They burned us before. They might burn us again. But for this game, I do like Philly. Maybe sneakily could win, but I like Atlanta better.
Hey, Matt Ryan with no Julio has not been a good quarterback throughout his career. So I don't know. I mean, I know Calvin Ridley, I love him too, but I don't know. I think it's going to take some time, and I think Matt Ryan may struggle in this one.
It's going to be an interesting game, I think, for sure, because you can also make the same argument for Philadelphia. I mean, Devontae Smith's new. I mean, there's a lot of Jalen Rager's back. So he was injured a lot last year. You never know there. There's a lot of – I agree with Roman, though. I think the Falcons – there's a lot of questions all over the field, but I think the Falcons offense might be the smallest question mark, especially with a great offensive mind like Arthur Smith manning the helm. But next up, we got another really great game here, Steelers-Bills. The Steelers, we all thought they were dead last year. We thought they were done, and then they bring Big Ben back. They draft Chris's guy, Najee Harris. They do some moderate improvements of the offensive line. Their defense is still awesome. And then you got the Bills. The Bills have been in the news a lot this offseason because of COVID and vaccines and all that stuff. We're not going to get into that, though. We're not a political show. But they've been in the news a lot, and I think they've been in the news so much that we've kind of forgotten that they're also a really, really good football team. However, the Steelers got off to such a hot start last year, and this might be kind of a shocker. This might be my big upset pick, but I think I'm going Steelers here. I think their defense is really good. I think they're going to be able to do enough to limit the Bills. And yeah, I think Big Ben's looked really good I think Big Ben's going to kind of do what he did last year, getting off to a good start to the season, and he's just going to kind of fall apart towards the end. Chase Claypool looked like a beast in some of the preseason footage of him. He's also back healthy, should be ready to go. The Bills' defense is still pretty good, but I don't know. I think Pittsburgh could light it up on them a little bit. They got Deontay Johnson, got a lot of great receivers. So yeah, I think we might see a little bit of an upset here week 1 with the Steelers. Shocking, maybe a little bit shocking the Bills, but I think regardless, it's going to be a really close game.
Yeah, give me the Bills in this one. It's in Buffalo. I see where you're coming from, Drew, and Pittsburgh is a team that's kind of being slept on this offseason, but Josh Allen's going to throw like 77 times in this game, regardless of how much they're winning or losing by, and I just trust his arm after last season. I think they really not a lot of changes happened to this Buffalo team. I think they're going to be good again this year. Absolutely could be in Super Bowl contention. Definitely are in Super Bowl contention. Give me the Bills in week 1. Starting 1-0 against a good team in the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I can definitely see a scenario in which the Steelers would win. I don't think it's a major upset. I don't really know what the line is for this game, but I will be taking the Bills. They did beat them last year when they went head to head. Pittsburgh hasn't really changed a whole lot. They lost Bud Dupree. They added Najee Harris. But Bills kind of just remained mostly the same. So nothing too drastic in this game. I think the Bills are just the better team overall.
Yeah. Perfect. Good points there by you guys. I don't have no disagreements here. I think it's going to be a good game, regardless
Definitely.
of the outcome. Next up, probably not a great game. I mean, this is not very interesting to me. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Vikings, Bengals. Vikings, similar to the Bills, have been in the storylines because of COVID reasons. Kirk Cousins, I'm not sure if he's moved into his plastic bubble yet, but I believe he does have plans to move into there shortly. But yeah, they've been in the storylines a lot for all the wrong reasons. I think everyone's back and healthy for the most part. And I think the Vikings are still a very good team, and the Bengals, Joe Burrow's health is a big concern. The Vikings, their defense improved a lot. Their offense is still going to be pretty solid. Kirk Cousins is the definition of a solid quarterback, in my opinion. So I think the Vikings are going to win this game relatively easily. I think the Bengals, I think it's kind of being slept on how bad the Bengals are going to be this year, probably. Their offense might be good, but their offensive line kind of sucks still. So I think they have potential to score some points, but their defense is also bad. Zach Taylor, I don't think, is a great coach. So yeah, this is a pretty easy pick for me. I think the Vikings are going to win this game fairly easily.
Yeah, not a lot to add for me as well. I think this is definitely going to be, Minnesota taking this one. I think this could be a good offensive game. Neither defense really is that great. They've got some moving pieces, so we'll see. But yeah, I think Minnesota's a dark horse team to be contending to this year. I think they've made some improvements to their roster. If Thielen and Jefferson, Dalvin can stay healthy, it's a really good offense, and their defense is going to take a step forward this year. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm taking Minnesota as well. You'd hope their defense steps up and they get a pretty vanilla opponent week one. The only two things I'm really looking at this game is, first of all, the loss of Irv Smith. He's out for the year. We didn't mention it in news and notes. So we'll see how they can fill the tight end position over there. And then Jamar Chase. Hopefully he doesn't continue the struggles of the preseason, because I know that they'll get, and maybe myself, I'm sure us might get a little bit impatient, because you did have a pretty subpar preseason with a lot of drops. So hopefully he does a lot better, but he'll also go against much tougher opponents on the opposite side of the ball. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned subpar preseasons there, because the guy that went a few spots below him, Penei Sewell, also had a subpar preseason. But anyway, we won't have to get into that right now. Cardinals, Titans. This is another really good game, I think. I mean, might be the toughest choice I've had to make, because these are two teams that the Titans also had a COVID outbreak. I mean, I think we talked about this on an earlier episode. They really got to get their crap together, man. I mean, it feels like this team always is having COVID outbreaks. Other teams are able to kind of get under control. So they got to figure some stuff out there. But the talent is there. This will be Julio Jones' debut with the Titans. I think they're going to be a really solid team. And then the Cardinals, they haven't looked great in the preseason or training camp, but they do have a lot of talent on the team. They did a big move on the defensive side of the ball with adding J.J. Watt. However, I do think the Titans are going to win this game. I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a close game, but I feel like aside from the COVID issues, like Ryan Tannehill's back, the Titans have way less kind of concerns on their side than I feel like the Cardinals do. So I think it might take the Cardinals a little time to get going. I think the Titans are going to win this game. It's going to be a really, really good game overall.
Yeah, for me in this one, I love the Cardinals. I think they're going to be all right this year, but I think I'm also going to go Tennessee. I definitely considered going Arizona in this one, but I just don't know. They had a talk about, we talked about Jamar Chase and his bad preseason. The Cardinals offense in the preseason was absolutely pitiful, especially watching them against the Chiefs. That was embarrassing to watch. And I know preseason doesn't always mean a lot, but I saw that. I think they're going to get off to a slow start. And Tennessee's offense is awesome. Arizona has no corners. A.J. Brown, Julio Jones to the moon. They're going to go off this week.
Yep. For Arizona, no Patrick Peterson, no Hassan Reddick. They do have a J.J. Watt, but we'll see if he makes an impact. I mean, Tennessee, they can just ground and pound all day long, and even if they stop it, they still have A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. So it's pretty much a pick your poison. I don't really see it going out very well. And if Tennessee shows a dominance week one, they might be, Super Bowl contenders early on.
Yeah, I 100% agree with everything you guys just said. So we'll move in now to the Seahawks Colts, which I think this could be a lot more of an interesting matchup, I think, if the Colts were fully healthy. But unfortunately they aren't. So I'm going Seahawks here. It was pretty easy for me to pick this one. I had them in third in our NFC
I've got that.
West
I had them in
prediction.
last.
You had them in last. I know we were all kind of low on them, but they are still a very good team, I think. Russell Wilson's a good player. They got DK. They got Tyler Lockett. Their defense, it might be a little bit improved, but it also isn't a great unit. But I don't think they're going to have too many issues here against the Colts. So give me the Seahawks here. I think not in dominant fashion, but I think they're going to win by a decent margin.
Well, we're going to disagree on this one because I got the Colts at home. I think the Seahawks, like I said, I'm going to practice what I preach. I don't think the Seahawks are anything special, especially their defense. Indy, I know Wentz is going to be rusty coming in, but I like Jonathan Taylor in this matchup against the Seahawks. And the Seahawks pass defense is very inviting, so Wentz should be able to reestablish himself very quickly. Obviously, Seahawks have good offense. Colts have a good defense, but I think that other side of the ball, Indy offense, Seahawks defense is really where the game's going to be won or lost. And you know what? Give me Indy's offense in this one.
Yeah, it'll be the long-awaited debut of Carson Wentz. I hope he does well. I mean, he'll be without his number one wide receiver in T.Y. Hilton, who I'm not really a big fan of anyway since he's old. But we'll see Pittman kind of step and emerge potentially into that one spot. Um, the Colts defense is still really dominant. I mean, nothing really changed in that side of the ball besides adding Kwity Paye in the draft. So I like that a lot for him. However, I think Seattle is just too experienced, too seasoned on the offense side of the ball, so I think I'm gonna go with them. But I do think it'll be pretty close, like you mentioned, Drew.
Yeah. I actually said it was going to be the Seahawks were going to win kind of by a decent margin,
Convincingly.
but
Oh,
yeah.
no.
But yeah, I can still be close. I don't give too much. I still like the Colts. I just think the Seahawks are gonna win this matchup. But I do agree with what you said, Chris. Though I think it's gonna come down to Colts offense versus Seahawks defense, because those are definitely the two weaknesses on those respective teams. Next up, we got a little bit of another kind of decent matchup, I think, with the Chargers and the Washington football team. They guided Ryan Fitzpatrick, so hopefully their offense is a little bit better than it was last year. They also still have the dominant defense, and the Chargers are getting all their guys back from injury. Justin Herbert, year two. They're a really good team on paper, so I'm going with the Chargers. I think their training camp, by all accounts, has sounded pretty good. I think even though they always say defense wins championships, I feel like in the new NFL, it's the offense that kind of reigns supreme. So I think the Chargers are going to win this matchup. I think it's going to be a really, really close and good game.
Yeah, Drew, I like the Chargers too. I'm right there. I'm riding with you on this one. I like the Chargers to win this game. On the road, it's going to be tough. Washington's a very good football team. Not to use their name, but they are a good team. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a good game, but I'll take the Chargers in this one.
Yeah, so will I. I think this is actually going to be one of the better games of the week. I'm very excited to see Justin Herbert versus Chase Young. But for Washington, though, I mean, they might not have Curtis Samuel with them week one, so that's definitely concerning. He's not their wide receiver one by any means, but losing him in the slot role, I mean, I think he was primed for a good year, a decent year under Fitzpatrick. But it'll be interesting to see how that offense looks with Fitzpatrick. But they are going against a semi-good defense as well in the Chargers. So who are getting their key pieces back from injury, like Derwin James, for example.
I'm honestly pretty surprised that nobody picked Washington. I mean, I know Curtis
I am
Samuel is
too.
out, but I mean, they still got a good team. They still got Scary Terry and Antonio Gibson, and like I said, Fitzmagic I think is an upgrade at quarterback from Alex Smith and Taylor Heineke. So it's just interesting, but I do agree. I picked the Chargers too. So I do think it's gonna be a close game, but I think the Chargers are going to win it. Next up, we got the Jets and the Panthers. All I'm going to say here is Sam Darnold revenge game. You heard it here first, week one. Sam Darnold is going to lead the Panthers to the wild card game. I am all in. All the haters can just kiss my butt. So yeah, Sam Darnold leading them against the Jets. Robbie Anderson revenge game as well. Yeah, it's gonna be good. I don't think it's gonna be a good game. I think the Panthers are going to win running away. The Jets aren't the Jets of last year. They're the defense is still suspect, but it's not as suspect as it used to be. Zach Wilson has looked pretty good in the preseason. So they're not. We can't disrespect them like we did last year, where we just put whoever team they were playing already in the spot. But yeah, I have the Panthers winning because I love Sam Darnold and I'm all in, just like Matt Rule's all in. But anyway, Chris, who you got?
I got Carolina too, man. Sam, you can't bet against Sam Darnold. That's
There
one
you go.
thing my mom always told me, not to bet against Sam
Oh,
Darnold.
right.
But this one, a revenge game against the Jets, rebuilding, first game for Zach Wilson. I'm actually really interested to watch this game. I think this game's gonna be fun to watch. Both defenses are pretty suspect, so I think the offenses are gonna. I think Wilson's gonna have a good debut. I think Darnold's gonna look really good as well. So, but having healthy CMC back, having those receivers, especially with the addition of Terrace Marshall, I think gives the edge to the Panthers. And what I expect to be a good game, but I'll take the Panthers.
Yeah, as much as I love Robert Saleh as the head coach for the Jets, I will take the Panthers as well. I don't think the Panthers defense is a slouch, though, Chris. I think they might actually do some dominant play this game. I think, Brian Burns and company, I think they might get to Wilson if he struggles. But I do like Carolina and their offensive weapons as well.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you, Chris. I'm going to be locked into this game, which is weird to say because Panthers, Jets, they're not the big name teams, but I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. That's why I have Darnold in like half my dynasty football teams. But anyway, this game I'm not going to watch. I'm going to be honest with you. Jacksonville, Houston, I mean, give me a break. This is brutal. I'm just going to go Jacksonville because Houston is the new Jets. Whoever they play, I'm not picking Houston because they suck. Yeah, Tyrod Taylor's your starting quarterback. Interesting to see though Trevor Lawrence's debut. It's a great matchup for him. I think he's going to light it up. Speaking of Sam Darnold, this could be reminiscent of remember when Sam Darnold lit up the Lions week
Yeah,
one, his rookie year, his debut because the
I
Lions
do.
sucked. I think this could be a very similar outcome for Trevor Lawrence here in week one as well. But Chris, you already got him in there, so anything
Yeah.
to add here? Or
Yeah, this is one game I think Houston's got a shot to win. Surprisingly, I think they actually
You're not
could win
wrong.
this one, but I'm still going to take Jacksonville. I can't, I'm sure Roman is really infatuated with Houston like he was last year again, but we'll have to see what ends up happening with this team. I expect them not to win very many games, but I will go with the Trevor Lawrence-led Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, similarly to the Jaguars last season, they did win week one and then lose out. So if Houston will win, it'll probably be this game. I'm taking Jacksonville, but I will preface by saying I'm going to shock the world and pick Houston at some point this year. And it worked out for me last year when they beat the Patriots. That was a shot in the dark, and they won. So it might work again this season, but probably not. I'm taking the Jaguars.
You should take them. You should take them this time, man.
Yeah, no chance.
Week one, go with some upsets.
Although I just heavily disrespected them, I am with you, Chris, in a way. I mean, if they're going to win any game this year, it's probably going to come against Jacksonville because they are going to play them again later in the season. So,
yeah,
I'm really looking forward to that second matchup too. I mean, that could mean a lot on the line there. All right, so we got Browns Chiefs. This is a rematch of, I believe, the AFC divisional round last. Yeah, that was the game that Mahomes got clobbered. Yeah, so rematch of the divisional round. This is going to be another really, really good game. I think. It's. Man, I really want to pick the Browns. I really want to pick the Browns. Fine, I'll pick them. Peer pressure. I'm picking them right now. I got the Brown stuff on. Revenge. I mean, I know the Chiefs are my freaking Super Bowl pick. But I know I just talked about how they're going to win the Super Bowl. But I don't know. Again, I'm a sucker for the revenge narrative. The Browns, they've spent the whole offseason focused on how the Chiefs beat them. And even though the Chiefs got a lot better, the Browns also got a little bit better too.
Yep,
they added Clowney. Odell, I don't know if he's coming back week one, but he might be coming back. They got Chubb, they got Kareem Hunt, they got Baker. They're a good team. They're playing a really, really good team in the Chiefs, obviously. But I'll pick the Browns. Why not? Who cares?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs in this one, but I don't fault you for taking the Browns. I think if this one was in Cleveland, I'd be a little bit more apt to picking alongside of you there. But, Cleveland, great team. Kansas City, even better team. My Super Bowl winner and my winner in week one.
Yeah, this game should have been prime time. I think this is going to be a really good game, really close game. But I will take the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think if the Chiefs would have won the Super Bowl, I think this would have been the Thursday night game. Very, very likely because the Browns are a fun team to watch as well. Now we got the Dolphins and the Patriots. We got the Mac attack versus the Tua Hula, I guess. Kind of rhymes. I think Mac's going to be really good. With New England, a lot better than Cam Newton. But I'm also going to Dolphins as well, in the training as well. The defense is still pretty good. I think Patriots are going to be really good as well. But I think Mac will take a little time to kind of get used to everything. So I'm just taking the Dolphins here in week one.
Yeah, I'm taking Mac Daddy in week one. Let's go, baby. The Patriots ramped up week one. I'm in on the Patriots this year. Their defense is back. I know they're going to be without Stephon Gilmore probably for the entire season. But that front seven's good. They still got J.C. Jackson and co. I expect New England to be good this season. I also expect Miami to be good. But when you're playing on the road, you got Tua doesn't have a lot of experience. When you got the second coming of Tom Brady and Mac Jones playing in front of Gillette Stadium, I'm expecting big things from this Patriots team this year, and I think week one is a perfect time for them to show that they're the better team in this division out of these two.
Yeah, I think Tua will have a good season. I think he'll progress from last year. He got quietly better in the offseason. But I am sneakily a little low on Miami as a whole this season. We didn't do a division deep dive on them, unfortunately, but they're going to be my third place team in the division behind New England and Buffalo. I'm going to take New England in this game. I think even with I don't know if they had Cam Newton, I would have picked them, but I think with Mac Jones, I think their defense is a lot more improved, and they have actually offensive weapons this time. I think this could be a win for them. I think they could maybe take this big step and maybe regaining the division title again.
Wow, I'm the Patriots fan too. I only didn't take them. I feel kind of like an idiot a little bit.
Surprised
but hey,
a little bit.
I mean, I think they're going to be. I think it's going to be a good game too. I think it's another team game, kind of like the maybe not like I guess kind of like the Panthers Jets. you're not going to be tuned into it at the beginning, but these are two very fascinating teams, in my opinion. I mean, in the past, it's been like a big time matchup. Probably wouldn't put in prime time. But the Saints, a lot of question marks there. I think Jameis is going to be good this year, but still without Michael Thomas. I mean, I like Marquez Callaway. Is he going to be good? I don't know. Even though the Packers do have a lot of drama behind the scenes, the one you can't deny, they are a very talented football team. I think their last stand starts off with a win. I think the Packers are going to win week 1. Not easily, but I think convincingly. So I have them beating the Saints.
Yeah, I will also take the Packers in this one. I think the Saints are also a team that I actually am very low on this year. I don't think the Saints are making the playoffs this year. I'm worried about that offense. Michael Thomas will be missing time. I don't think this defense is as scary as it was. Give me the Packers in this one, and I'm going to make the proclamation because I don't believe I was on the NFC South division breakdown. I don't think New Orleans is going to be a playoff team. Honestly, and Drew's going to eat this up. I could see the Panthers sneaking up on them, man. I think they might be pretty good this year. I wasn't on this, so I didn't really get to give my opinion. I think those two teams are going to be competing around 500, and Carolina could end up being better. We'll see. I don't love New Orleans' weapons at all this year, and Michael Thomas being down really, really, really hurts.
As much as I'd like to take the Saints, I'm going to take the Packers as well. I think they just have much better weapons on offense. Green Bay's defense, they were all right last year, but hopefully they can step it up. New Orleans defense, they've been consistently pretty good. Just the offense, that's the main question mark with Winston. He's going to throw some turnovers, so we'll see how he bounces back from it. But I do think him being the starter was ultimately the right choice. I mentioned it when we did our division preview. I'll say it again. Winston should be the starter, and rightfully so. So I think he'll be fine. I mean, he has Kamara, Troutman, who I think is going to go off this season, breakout player, and then Marquez Callaway, and besides that, really no one. So I think Rodgers is going to be just too dominant in this game, and I think Winston's turnovers could be the difference.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
I don't have too much to add there either. Jameis Winston. I think even though I love the Panthers take, Chris, I do think Winston he could be the key for them to be relevant this year. Because I'm not a Taysom believer. I don't think he's going to get it done. Okay, next up we got the Broncos and the Giants. Giants were in the headlines all of training camp for the wrong reasons because of fights and Joe Judge making people run and like it was high school and all this stuff. Kenny Galladay was injured most of training camp as well. And the Broncos, I mean, Rob and I talked about it during our AFC West video or breakdown. The Broncos, I mean, aside from quarterback, they're a really, really good team. Defensively, they're good. They got a lot of good weapons. So I'm going Broncos here. I mean, I think the Giants, they attract more of the headlines, but I think the Broncos, as we kind of discussed, I think they could sneak up on some teams, and I think they're going to get off to a good start. They got a relatively easy matchup here in the Giants week 1. I think it's going to result in them starting 1-0.
Yeah, Drew, as much as I want to pick the Giants in this one, I think it's going to be a pretty good game despite me not really caring that much about it. I think Denver's going to get the job done. I think Teddy, if Drew Lock was playing, I think I'd take the Giants because it is prone to turnover, but I think Bridgewater will take care of the ball. They'll run the football. Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, and their defense will play solid football against, a banged-up Saquon, banged-up Kenny G, fighting Sterling Shepard, all of them. And so give me Denver in this one.
I will be taking Denver as well, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Bradley Chubb got a DUI pretty recently, so we'll see what happens with that. But I think Denver is just more dominant on defense with or without Chubb. And then their offensive weapons, when healthy, are going to be through the roof. Sutton back, Fant back. They also have Judy. I do like Locke over Bridgewater. I think that might be a hot take, but I think whoever I have in there will be better than Daniel Jones. So that makes a difference.
Yeah. Not too much to add there. Like Chris said, a great game, but I think the Broncos might be a little frisky this year. Now we got the Bears and the Rams. Matthew Stafford's debut will be against a pretty familiar opponent in the Chicago Bears. Unfortunately, I know Chris and I very much like him. Oh, Roman's already putting the Rams down there, but I know for Chris and I, we like Justin Fields a lot. So disappointed that he's not going to be playing this week in week 1. And mainly for that reason, I do think the Bears are a sneaky good team. I think the Rams are going to win this game because Justin Fields isn't starting. I think the Bears' playoff hopes will come down to how quickly Justin Fields starts. But that won't be disrespectful towards the Rams. I think they're also a really, really good team. And Stafford's tenure with the Rams starts off on a better note than it did with the Lions with a week 1 victory.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like these two teams always match up on Sunday night. It feels like every single season it's always a low scoring affair. Honestly, I could see it happening again. I think both these defenses are pretty good. Obviously, Stafford could have some success in this one, but I expect this to be a pretty low scoring game. I think Chicago will keep it close, but the difference is the quarterbacks, and I think that will be what ends up happening. I think the Rams will win by, like a touchdown or something like that in a defensive field position, running game led, driven, game.
Yeah, I mean Stafford familiar with the Bears defense familiar with him, so it'll be a familiar battle. I'm looking forward to seeing it again. The Rams just have a lot more weapons offensively and defensively. I mean, you could see Justin Fields if Aaron Donald doesn't snap Andy Dalton's legs in half. So we'll see what happens, or Aaron Donald, So we'll see what happens, but I think the Rams will win it.
Yeah, could happen. You never know. Okay, so the final matchup here, we got Ravens, Raiders. The Ravens, like I said before, they're a really, really talented team because they have, like I said, they have talent everywhere, defensively, offensive line. Receivers are a little suspect, but the quarterback's obviously really good. But the running team, it's worrisome because they don't really have any starting caliber running back anymore on their team. And I think I hate this because I've kind of been contrarian a lot for a lot of these picks, but I am going Raiders. I mean, I think this is going to be their first game
Really?
in the new stadium in with fans. So I think I'm gonna go with the Raiders. It's kind of surprising. The Ravens, a lot of controversy, like not a controversy, a lot of stuff they have to deal with. And I don't know. And the Raiders, it seems like every year the Raiders have one of these wins where it's like, wow, I didn't expect them to win that game. And they always get off to a good start to the season. So yeah, I think Derek Carr, he loves Vegas. He says it in all the interviews. I think he has a big week 1 win against a very good team in Baltimore.
Yeah, Drew, I'm kind of pissed that you picked the Raiders because I'm going to go with Baltimore, but this is, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with this one. I mean, in the new stadium, I feel like, I mean, last year the Raiders took down the Saints very early into the season on Monday night, and I mean, dude, I think it's there for this team to weirdly win, and I'm not in on the Raiders this year at all. I think they're going to be pretty bad, but I weirdly think they might win this game, and Baltimore's had these injuries. The Raiders, like I said, I don't expect them to be awesome, but I feel like in front of their fans for the first time in the Death Star, dude, they could get it done, man. And I will be pissed because you may gain a point on me, but I can't go against Baltimore in this one. I still think Lamar is going to have a lot of success against this defense.
Yeah, this game does give me deja vu vibes of last year when you picked the Raiders over the Saints. So I was tempted to pick them myself. I'm glad you picked them, Drew. I think Baltimore's just the better team overall. I mean, the Vegas did not have a great offseason. Alex Leatherwood was their first round pick. Very questionable, and their offensive line is very suspect. The only really concern for Baltimore, as we already mentioned, the running back group, we'll see who emerges out of there. But Rashad Bateman, their other first rounder, isn't even playing. He's on the IR to start the season, so still no wide receivers for Lamar Jackson to throw to, unless you count Willie Snead, or if he's still on the team, I don't even know. Tylan Wallace. I mean, they don't really have many others, so they do have Andrews, but that's pretty much it. So I think Baltimore will win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Vegas won too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a sneaky good game. Obviously, I picked the underdog here. So, but before we get out of here for our week 1 episode, let's finish it out with some fantasy talk. So since I started the pick 'em, we can go reverse order. So Roman, you start us out with your first fantasy pick for week 1.
I'm glad you let me go first. I feel like I might steal one of Chris's players, but even though I took this team to lose, I'm going to take Jalen Hurts as one of my fantasy picks. I think, going against a very susceptible defense, I think he has opportunity to run all over the place, throw the ball over the place. Many games last year in Atlanta were high scoring games because both defenses were pretty bad. So I think this has the opportunity to be one of those high scoring slugfest games. However, I do see Atlanta winning. I just think, Philly will have to play keep up, I believe, at some point. So whether Hurts runs or passes it, they got Rager and Smith. So I think they'll be in good shape, and I think Hurts will have a good game this week.
Yeah, I'm not happy that you got to talk about Jalen Hurts because I love him, and I think he's going to go off this week. I would start him over most quarterbacks in week 1. I think he's just so electric with the legs. the Falcons defense probably couldn't stop me from scoring 20 fantasy points. So they definitely aren't stopping Jalen Hurts from scoring 30. So I expect him to have a monster week one. Honestly, upside is overall QB1 for him, in my opinion. But Drew, I'll let you touch up on him, and then I'll get into my pick.
I don't have too much to add there. Jalen Hurts is a really good player. Period.
At least
Chris.
for week one, man. We'll have to see. We'll have to see about season long. But I mean, definitely for week one, I think he's going to be a good play. But I'll jump into my next pick, and I kind of have a feeling I may be stealing one of Drew's guys here because he talked about the 49ers earlier. It's Raheem Mostert for me. I think he's going to have a really, really good opening week against the Lions. Unfortunately, I may be playing against them in fantasy this week in my week one matchup, so I'm not looking forward to that. But the facts are there. Detroit can't stop anybody. Their defense is going to be absolutely putrid again this year, and they were one of the worst defenses in NFL history last season. Honestly, last couple of years they've been just downright pitiful. I think our annual Thanksgiving football game that we play, we could get those 11 guys and probably score a couple touchdowns against this Detroit defense. So Raheem Mostert's 4.35 speed is definitely going to score a touchdown. I expect him to get at least 1 to 2 touchdowns in this game. He might not get that many touches with Trey Sermon being there, but he can absolutely be an RB1 with 10 touches this week. And I think he'll get a couple more, 12, 13 total touches, couple receptions added into there, and be a really good play for this week. A top 12 running back, in my opinion.
I'm just going to interject. I know, Drew, you're probably going to talk about like a guy like Ayuk or Debo, but I'm just going to put it out there. Anyone, if you have the 49ers, anyone from the team, start them. I mean, it doesn't need to be said. It's going to happen. Sermon will be relevant. Most will be relevant. Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, Michael Hasty might have a couple of touchdowns. I don't even know who's going to – it's going to be a really rough day for Detroit. I think anyone on the 49ers could be relevant, but I'm sorry to interrupt you, Drew.
No, you're good because you mentioned one of my guys, so I'll just say it right now. It still counts, right? You didn't steal it. So, yeah, Deebo Samuel. For many of the same reasons that Chris just mentioned for Raheem Mostert, the Lions suck. So, yeah, Deebo Samuel I think is going to be really good. I've been kind of lower on him for fantasy purposes, but that's solely because of injuries. So I think when he's on the field, he's a really talented player. He's elite in the run game. He's elite through the air. I think Jimmy G is going to have a big game too. So that'll help be beneficial for Deebo very much as well. So, yeah, I love Deebo Samuel for week one. And then my next pick, let's see, let's get crazy here. What am I going to do? I'm going to go Myles Gaskin here against the Patriots. He's a little bit lesser name guy for fantasy purposes, but he's been getting a lot of juice out of camp, I feel like. Yeah, you're talking about how they feel like he can be the running back one. He can handle the workload. So maybe they put the money where their mouth is, give him a ton of touches week one out of the gate. When he was healthy last year, I feel like he was really good. So yeah, give me Myles Gaskin here week one.
Yeah, I mean, Gaskin, I think, is a pretty good RB2. I've been a little lower on him, but I'm starting to rise on him going in, especially in PPR. I think he could be really solid, but I'm a little worried about him week one, man. I don't know if this is a guy I would consider like a guy that I'm really in on this week. I think that New England defense is going to make things tough for Tua, make things very tough for Gaskin. He'll be absolutely fine in PPR. I expect him, get 5 or 6 targets, probably come down with 5 catches, but rushing yards I think are going to be hard to come by. I don't think he gets in the end zone this week. So, he's still probably like a low end number 2, high end flex play for me. But I don't know if I would have him in my starts, my favorites of the week. But I do like him, especially for the season. I think he's a very serviceable back.
Yeah, I think this could be a tough matchup for Gaskin. Definitely a flex option for me. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable putting him in my 2 starting running back slots. I do like Gaskin overall this season. Hopefully he can make the most out of his lucky, I think, fortunate role that he's the running back one. I mean, Miami had so many opportunities to get a better running back in there, but they didn't. So they obviously trust him. So hopefully Gaskin can make the most of the opportunities. However, I do think he starts the year off pretty tough against the Patriots.
Yeah. That's kind of how I see it too. I'll jump into my next pick now, and it's a guy that I've been desperately trying to trade for lately in my redraft league, and that's New York Jets wide receiver 1, Corey Davis. I think he's going to have a fantastic week one. I've been really rising on him throughout the season, and I think Carolina's defense is trash. I think their DBs really stink, and Zach Wilson's going to have a pretty good opening game, and he was just targeting it felt like he was starting Corey Davis on every single play in the preseason. So I expect him to get hyper targeted, see 9-10 targets in this one, come down with the touchdown, and be a solid number 2 wide receiver for fantasy in week 1. So definitely a good play here, and a guy that I think has definitely gone under the radar, and it's why I've been trying to trade for him with little success so far.
At first, I thought you were joking, honestly, because I know you've trashed him so much this offseason. But I guess that's a good pick. Sure. Corey Davis, let's bring him back on the show. Corey, if you're watching, come on. But,
hey, man.
Yeah.
He's got some opportunities. This wide receiver room doesn't have a lot of talent. Jamison Crowder's out for week 1. It's a really soft matchup, and he's been targeted a lot in preseason, man. I mean, I still don't think he's a true alpha number 1 guy, but he is their number 1 target right now, and I think he will be in week 1. So I'm very happy to play him in week 1, despite not being the biggest Corey Davis guy.
Yeah, I didn't even react because this is just absolute clown show on your part, Chris. I mean, you've been like Roman said, you've been dogging him literally all off season. Roman and I actually like him, and you're like, oh man, this guy sucks. And then week 1, you're like, yeah, he's my guy. So, I mean, I appreciate you coming over to the Davis side of football, and you like him now because I think he's a good player, and I do think he's going to get a lot of opportunity here with Zach Wilson, who has shown at least in a few preseason games that he can be a quality quarterback. And even though I like the Panthers, their defense is still very young, so it's going to give some opportunities there for Wilson and Davis to connect and hopefully have some success here week 1. But Roman, before we get out of here, how would you give us your fantasy pick?
Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, as much as I'd love to pick Adrian
team.
Peterson, he's not even on the roster, so I can't pick him, unfortunately. But I'm going to stick within the same game, actually, as you, Chris, but on the other side of on another team. I'm going to Robbie Anderson. I think he's going to have a good game against his former opponent. Another,
Revenge game.
Revenge game. Thank you for the words. I lost it completely. But him, Darnold, going to have a great connection. Good to have them back together. But, DJ Moore, fine. He's the wide receiver 1. But I think Robbie Anderson will have the most receptions on that team by the end of the year with him and Darnold. So I think, he'll be a good pick this week. You definitely flex him too.
Yeah, but Robbie Anderson, I think, is a talented receiver, and I think he's going to have a solid week 1. It's more about – I'm a little worried about this Carolina receiving core, having CMC back, having a new quarterback in there. I'm a little worried that they're kind of going to cannibalize each other, him, DJ Moore, and Terrace Marshall. But Robbie was very solid last season with Teddy Bridgewater at the helm. No reason he can't be here in week 1 against the Jets, his former team. I expect him to come out, score a touchdown. I almost picked him over Corey Davis, but, I love Corey Davis a ton. Really wanted to talk about him. But no, and I do agree with you guys. Back on the Davis train for a second, I do agree with you guys. I'm not that high on him. I don't think he's a great player, but hey, he's got the opportunity to prove me and a lot of other people wrong who disrespected him. And hey, I'm wishing the best for him. Former Western Michigan product, so I'm wishing the best for him. I think he's gonna have he's gonna get off to a very good start against this porous Panthers secondary. I think they're really gonna struggle against trying to cover him and Elijah Moore.
Yeah, speaking of Western Michigan, how about let's go to college football for a second. Go blue, baby. Michigan football is back officially. Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw Cade McNamara and J.J. McCarthy light it up. But yeah, we're back. Jim Harbaugh, never doubted him a second. But anyway, back to NFL here. Yeah, so that's it for week 1. Anything else you guys want to add here before we get out of here? I know we're about 10 minutes away from kickoff of the NFL season.
Let's go,
we're all pretty excited. This was a lot of fun. I really missed doing these with you guys throughout the off season. And it's great to be back.
Yeah, man, it's very good to be back. It's been a long off season. Can't wait to watch AB blow up. My actual start of the week, by the way. AB having a big game. I can't wait for it.
Yep, definitely excited to watch Thursday Night Football. Obviously, this will go out after the game, but I'm very excited to watch the game and get back into the swing of things with you guys.
Yeah, I think this was a great foundation for the rest of the season. It was a great episode, a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing these with you guys for the rest of the year. But once again, we are the Zone Defense Podcast, and as we already said, the season's finally back. We're gonna be doing these every week. With the fantasy talk, the pick'em, all that stuff. If you have any ideas for additional things you want us to do throughout the NFL season, please let us know. We're open to any and all ideas. But also make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify and Twitter at Zone Defense Pod, and search us on Apple Podcasts. Be sure to smash that like button and drop a comment down below. Let us know what you thought about our week 1 picks, as well as our fantasy picks, our Super Bowl picks, the news, the notes, everything. Leave a comment about what you found most interesting about this episode. We love reading your comments and try to respond to them as quickly as we can. But once again, thank you for listening to this episode, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
See ya.